Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Politics Now, where I talk about modern politics and modern America. And today we're going to be talking about how Ukraine and the Russo-Ukrainian War might be a big problem for Joe Biden for his re-election in 2024. And yeah, this is a big issue for Biden because a lot a lot of people say that we shouldn't be sending this much money to Ukraine, especially since we have really high inflation, 40-year high inflation, and $75 billion in assistance to Ukraine. And a lot of people are thinking, where's that money going? Why do we need to send them that much? Why is Europe not putting as much money into Ukraine? And all of these questions have not been answered by Biden, and that is probably going to tank his popularity and approval rating for the 2024 election because Ukraine might be one of the biggest issues because a lot of people do not approve of his handling of the Ukrainian war. For intended for a lot of adults, 39%, they approve of it, but also 35% of them disapprove of it. And that's not exactly a big difference between approval and disapproval that you want for a war that you're funding, and especially a proxy war, because those are the hardest to justify. And he can't really pull George Bush with Iraq because he doesn't have the excuse of the war on terror. And honestly, it might hurt him in the election because if you have a third of young adults who most likely will vote Democrat and they disapprove of this war, then they might not vote, or they might vote Republican this time because they don't like how the war's being handled. And that could really hurt him because overall support for the war has gone down since March, and then now we go to June, and it's gone down so hard because, people don't really see it as big of a threat. They just see it as us wasting money. And if you have a third of young adults disapproving of your proxy war, then you're probably not going to get reelected, and that's a big thing that could hurt Biden. Yeah, and if you have approval ratings like this, where 11.3% more disapprove of you than approve of you, then that's a huge problem when you're doing an unpopular war and a ton of young adults who would vote for you do not approve of your handling of a war. So it's not going to go well for him. And $75 billion, that's not small change. There's a ton of aid packages that are being discussed and pending approval, and if it stacks upon this, if this hits 100 billion, that's going to be a major news story, and that's going to be a big blow to him, because spending $100 billion already, $75 billion is too much, but 100 billion, if it reaches that, then that's going to be a big blow to his campaign, because that's not cheap. That's a lot of money that you're just funneling to Ukraine, and we don't know where that money is going. There's reasons cited like humanitarian, financial, military support, but we don't actually know where that is going. We just give it to Ukraine and say, okay, spend it on war. I don't really care. And there's a lot of evidence to prove that it might not be going towards the war. It might be going to personal bank accounts and funding infrastructure that wasn't affected by the war. And there's a lot of shady stuff going on with that money, and people don't like that. And honestly, approval ratings like this, you're not going to want shady business being done in a proxy war, because that's how you get unelected and lose the election to your opponent. And if he continues with this, I can totally see this disapproval rating rising because of the war, and I can totally see Ukraine being a major issue and a big win for Republicans to talk about because a lot of people don't like his handling of the war. And that's probably going to be a major rallying point. I can get this solved easily, Joe Biden can't. And if that's their message, then I can see a lot of young adults voting Republican because they don't like the handling of the war. And if Joe Biden continues with this, I can totally see him losing the next election badly. And it would be a major blow to him if a ton of young adults defected to the Republicans because of the handling of the war. And Ukraine is just a really bad thing for Joe Biden to be having to deal with because a lot of people again don't like his handling of the war. It's gone completely down. It's gone from around 50% of wanting to aid Ukraine to now 28%, 38% among Democrats, independents 32%, and even besides young adults who would more likely vote for a Democrat but might not because of the war, independents, that's a large part of the voter base, and they also don't like the war. So if you have them turning to Republican because of the war, then you just lost even more votes because not only are you losing a demographic that would most likely vote for your party, you're losing the independent voters, which would also be a major blow, and you would lose some of the key states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, all those swing states that you need to win the election that aren't a guarantee for either side. And Ukraine will probably be a big issue, and Russia will, if they if Russia succeeds in a counter invasion, if like they retake some cities and it's around the election, then not only would it be seen as a major money waster, then it would be seen as a lost cause and just another proxy war like Afghanistan or Iraq. And you don't want in Afghanistan or Iraq in the middle of Europe during an election. That's how you lose elections. And honestly, he just has no excuse to keep committing to this. He either needs to find a way to broker peace, get a victory, or just he'll just lose and give up. And yeah, if he doesn't turn something around, I can totally see him losing a large part of his base to the Republicans because of the war and his unpopularity because of the war. And yeah, I can see this poll number rising. I could see it going back to its all-time high of an 18-point difference. I can totally see that. And yeah, he's probably going to be in a rough time for the election if he doesn't turn things around. So yeah, if you like the video, then make sure to like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments if you think that Ukraine will affect him that much, and if it won't, tell me your reasons why, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.